Welcome to the official YouTube channel for the Colin Cowherd podcast. Go on, hit the subscribe button. There it is, so you don't miss any of our football content this season. It has been, if I might say, fantastic. Let's go back to an interesting game. Kansas City beats Denver 16-14. And I wrote, what Kansas City's become is a great moments team. 2 for 2 on fourth down, blocked a kick, great on third down, only 3 penalties. They're still trying to figure out what the hell they are a little bit offensively. Like they don't,
they're this, Colin. It's just ugly. Just keep us in the game, and we'll just try to win it with 5 minutes left.
But when you have the best coach, the best quarterback, arguably the best defense, the best third down offense, that's enough. I was thinking about this about 2 weeks ago. About every 6 years, I went back and looked. It was about every 6 to 7 years, a great team wins the Super Bowl. But mostly it's a really good team with no huge hole that coaches can pick on. In a 2-week lay after the Super Bowl, when Mahomes didn't have both tackles, he gets routed. If he'd had one, it would have been a game. Kansas City's not terrible at anything. They're beat up. They're trying to figure out their receiving core. But because Mahomes is so good and Andy Reid is so clever, it's functional. It makes plays when you have to. I thought this was the game. This was the game I did not pick in Blazing 5. It was my last pick. I thought Denver had a chance to win today.
Same.
But the takeaway I had beyond Kansas City doing that, Bo Nix, that final drive, 13 plays, a little bit like Brock Purdy. You're like, he had 8 different receivers today, 22 of 30, 245 yards, a couple of touchdowns, great final drive. I think all those college starts, I think he may have a lower ceiling, but I think Denver is 5 drafted players away and maybe a free agent signing from being a pain in the ass to people. I think Denver's pretty interesting.
Yeah, I thought this game was way more about Denver than Kansas City. Kansas City just does this every week. They're going to go 15-2 or 16-1, and everyone's going to go how the hell they do it. Well, they do it because, like you said, it's the organizational competitive character, their know-how, their experience. They're missing their best receiver who tore his ACL. They're starting running back. Like Kareem Hunt's been an awesome story. There's a big drop-off between Pacheco and him.
Huge.
So, you get him back hopefully in December. It's a broken leg. So, that'll be a big boost for them because they're going to win like this, right? 21-17, 20. But to me, Denver went in there as they should have. Short week, Kansas City a little gas, and they came in ready to win. And Bo Nix hit Sutton on the beautiful touchdown pass. You're like, it's going to be the game. I thought it's finally the Chiefs just lose 28-15 or something.
Yep.
And they just find a way because defensively they're good. Obviously, the home crowd is pretty special. But I think Denver, this was probably one of their more impressive weeks of the year, even counting their wins, just because, we'll have to see how it breaks out. That's 7 seed when you look, obviously the Jets are done. Colts are in major trouble. When you look at the AFC playoff, the Bengals are screwed. You basically have the Steelers and Ravens. One team's going to win the division, one team's going to be in.
Well, Steelers,
the Chiefs, and the Chargers
Denver,
are in.
Yeah, Steelers.
I think Denver could get the 7 seed, Colin.
So do I. I think the top is very good. Buffalo, Baltimore, Kansas City. When all your marketing team does is put out fires, they burn out fast, sifting through leads, creating content for infinite channels, endlessly searching for disparate performances, KPIs, all takes a toll. But with HubSpot, you can stop team burnout in its tracks. Plus, your team can achieve their best results without breaking a sweat. With tools like the built-in Breeze AI, pinpoint the best leads possible, capture prospects' attention with click-worthy content, and access all your company's data in one place. No sifting through tabs necessary. It's all waiting for your team in HubSpot. Keep your marketers cool. Make your campaign results hotter than ever. Visit HubSpot.com/marketers to learn more. And then I think the wild card feels like.
Do you throw Pittsburgh in there too, though? With Baltimore?
I do. I think. Let's say Pittsburgh.
We'll find out when they play each other this week.
Yeah, and Baltimore at their best is better than Pittsburgh at their best.
Agreed.
So I think the wild card teams, and they don't feel quite as good. Chargers, not a ton of juice offensively, but a good team. Denver, rookie quarterback, and Pittsburgh, some limitations, I think, on I think Russell from the pocket, there's limitations if he was trailing in a game and you put big heat on him. But I will say with Denver, Mahomes last 2 games, no picks, first 7 games, 9 picks. So what Kansas City has basically done they've gotten those ugly. Remember the start of the year where like, Jesus, Mahomes has like one or two just horrible pick. They've gotten out of that space. The win for Kansas City is harder than you think because of the short week. But I think, to your point, I think you looked at Sean Payton and Bo Nix, and I think we could both say he found his Drew Brees. He found his guy. I don't know if he's as good as him, but he found his guy.
Yeah, well, I mean, he's definitely made strides because it was early. I think I didn't put as much stock into some of the early games in the fourth quarter when he played well, because it's like the context of that, the defense gave up. But I do think the last couple of weeks, you feel a lot better about it. And let's face it, like there are some rookie quarterbacks playing, and obviously Jaden Daniels, it couldn't have gone much better. It's one of the great, we saw one of the greatest rookie seasons of all time last year with CJ Stroud. I would put Jaden Daniels right there toe to toe of like, geez, it can't be this good, can it? And then you have like Drake May, who's on a team that's so shitty. But you're watching me go, well, there's something there.
Oh, yeah.
I would take that guy. And then you watch Bo, who doesn't have Drake's physical characteristics, who's not as talented. Why one guy goes 3, the other guy, most people thought was overdrafted, but you go with this coach, with this infrastructure, their defense. I mean, that's the one thing. Like if Sean Payton has a defense as he did in New Orleans with Drew Brees, they were elite, right? So if you just give a defense, like he'll figure out the offense. Most teams are not Kansas City. To me, I think they get to 9 wins and they would be the 7th seed. Now, the difference though is, depending on who they play, right? If you're the 7th seed, you're playing the 2 seed. So you're playing Baltimore or Buffalo. Like no one's betting on Denver. I would say no one's going to want to see the Chargers as the 6th seed. Like if you're Baltimore, Pittsburgh, that will be a team that like, well, they're a 5-point underdog. Like I think Harbaugh would be a team that people would believe in. Where Denver, there's nothing wrong with it. One and done team in the playoffs, probably like the Commanders. And you tip your hat to it. You feel good.
Yeah. If you look at their schedule, John, Denver now hosts the Falcons, dome team, cold weather. Then they face the Raiders. Then they face the Browns at home. Then they get the Colts at home. And then they go to the Chargers. I think they match up. It's very close. So to your point here is, preseason, we're like, oh, you look at some of these teams. Then the Broncos end with the Bengals. And by the way, they host the Chiefs in the last week 18. Kansas City could be resting guys at that point. They could be
I'm looking at it right now. Technically at 5-5, they are in the 7th spot, trailed by Indianapolis, who, let's face it, I don't blame them. I think they did the right thing, but the Flacco, Anthony Richardson thing's all out of whack now. Flacco looks terrible. And the Bengals, who have this quarterback who's can't play any better, and Jamar Chase, who looks like Jerry Rice in his prime, cannot win games. So, you don't feel very, and just because of the division they're in, it's just a lot harder when you got to play Pittsburgh and Baltimore, right? Then like they don't get the Raiders. Even Cleveland now throwing in Jameis as a real team with real players. Yeah. I would much rather play the Raiders than the Browns. So I like that. That was a pretty devastating loss for the Bengals the other night. And that could be the difference why Denver gets the 7th seed and the Bengals end up 8-9. I mean, it could just be the difference. One team's 9-8, the other team's 8-9. So that's that big of a difference.
Yeah. And I think Denver's schedule right now looks very formidable. Okay.